Oh, what a massive week for Plymouth Argyle. Welcome back to another episode of Where Pilgrims Walk. On this week's episode, we're talking about that team selection up at Elland Road. Comments from fans saying Schumacher's available. Give him a call. Who starts against Derby, and looking at the fixtures to come. And with it being Bonfire week, which player needs a rocket? We've got Chris and Jaden to review the Leeds game. Unfortunately, we're recording this before that big Portsmouth game, so you'll know the answer, how that's gone before we were able to talk about it. But let's have a chat anyway about the weekend just gone. Chris, you made the journey up to Elland Road. When you saw this team sheet, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, it was pretty obvious that we were going to go up there with damage limitations, to be honest with you, Mark. You know, we were going up to defend, and it was a bit like the Alamo. For the first 30 minutes, we did a job, you know, and if that had carried on for a further 60, very unlikely that it would have, but if it had, we'd have come away thinking 0-0 at Elland Road. What a great point that was. But they went and scored a great goal with... for 25 yards, and all of a sudden they're 3 and 8. You know, Daniel James was an absolute worldie, and then the game was over as soon as they scored, to be honest with you, because we were never going to equalise with the team that we put out.
Yeah. Was it the most one-sided game you've watched for a while, Chris?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the XG tells you all you need to know. We never had a shot on target. We never had a shot. We never had a corner. You know, we were just in our own half of the old game there. Second half, you could turn around and say, well, all right, we did all right. 0-0 second half. But the game was already over there, and they took their foot off the pedal without a doubt. But we went up to get a point, and then obviously once they got that initial goal, that was it. It was game over.
Jaden, do you read into it like others are, that he's saving the players, or some of the players, for Pompey, and knew that was just a throwaway game almost?
I think it's obvious he's put a lot of the eggs in the Pompey basket, but at the same time he would have wanted to get a point. But he's obviously put out a defensive team. A lot of those players are still going to play on Tuesday at the end of the day, so it's one of those things. He's obviously saved some players for Tuesday, but in terms of defensively, he's not really saved anyone really. So it's just, I don't think he's put all of the eggs in the Pompey basket, let's say.
Okay, we'll have a look at them in a second. Rob says that's a terrible team, although I was glad Pleggy, Sorinola and Houghton are actually getting a chance. El says it shouldn't matter who started. All those players should want to be giving their all, and with the exception of a few, we have not seen that in a few weeks. I mean, they're right, aren't they, Chris? Whoever's on that team sheet should be putting a shift in. It doesn't matter who you are.
No, of course, yeah. And obviously we had 6 first-team players unavailable for various reasons. 4 were injured. 1 couldn't play against his parent team. 1 was still under suspension. So we had 6 first-team players who couldn't make it. Now, I don't care if you're Man United or Leeds United, you know, or Plymouth Argyle. For us, that's a tough ask to go up to Elland Road with 6 first-team players not playing. And it gives an opportunity for those who do come in to show their work. And we had a 16-year-old playing, 16-year-old in midfield, and he was making his debut at Elland Road. And what a place to make his debut. And the young lad, I'm not going to knock him, because you know what? He had a blooming good game. And but you're up against it when you're putting in lads like that up away at Leeds. You know, it's a tough ask.
Absolutely. Let's look at a couple more. Jaden Harris says that the team selection was disrespectful to the fans who travelled and paid a silly amount to be in that away end today. And then we get into the more deeper comments. Fortunately, they're starting to come a little bit thicker and faster now. Rudy and Justib have to go. Getting spammed every week isn't going to be good for team morale. Yeah, we beat 2 good sides, but that's it. There's not much to celebrate. And we'll come on to the Schumacher comment question in a minute. What's your view on people now starting to question? It's more Justib actually than Rooney at the moment. It's not his fault. You've got 6 players out, but should you be seeing a little bit more bite from the players on the pitch?
You know, when you're Plymouth Argyle and you're going up to Leeds United, you're going to put out a defensive team. You don't have to, but it's just with how good they are and how not so good we are at the minute, especially. You're going to put out a defensive team, and we've obviously done that, and fans aren't happy. But we're going to want to get a 0-0 draw out of it. We're not going there to win at the end of the day. And that's just the way that Rooney sees it. Obviously, at home it's a bit different. But yeah, I don't know why you can blame Dewsnip and Hallett and all of that kind of stuff. Because yeah, it's just nothing really to do with them.
Okay. All right. What about then these Schumacher comments? I think it's because he was on TV this weekend as well, making himself very much known that he's available. Should anyone need him? Chris, would you entertain him coming back if it all did go south? Let's say, for example, the worst happens this week.
Absolutely, 100% no. Some of these fans got to give their heads a wobble. They really are. Wayne Rooney is doing an excellent job with the hand that he's been given. And a lot of the players, yeah, they're obviously responsible. But like I said, Saturday, he can only deal with the hand he's dealt, and he's put out what he's needed to try to get a point up there. He's obviously got an eye on Tuesday with he's going to be putting an attacking formation back out there. But we need an investor. There's 100%. Everyone in Plymouth knows we need this financial backing. Our chairman can't do it all. And Wayne Rooney, until he's got financial backing, we can't judge him on what he's been given so far.
Jaden?
Yeah, completely agree. Obviously, a lot of our players aren't championship quality, so we need to improve the squad.
Okay. All right. That's the last time we'll ask that one, but it is starting to surface. Given this, I thought every fan had fallen out of love with him after he deserted you for Stoke, but it appears.
Oh yeah.
It appears not. All right, let's focus on the big week then to come. Let's have a look at how November shapes up for the Argyle. Big game against Pompey, of course, this Tuesday night. Fingers crossed that goes your way. Then we'll have a look at Derby in a minute. Watford at home after the break, Norwich away and Bristol City away. Two very tough away trips, aren't we, when we come back? But look at that. So let's just run here. So Portsmouth at home is winnable. Derby away is winnable. Although they're pretty good at home, they are not in good shape at the moment. One of the worst form sides in the league. Watford are great at home, but not so good away. Apart from this weekend, where they're just not six. So this is a big 3 games coming up. Albeit there's a break inside, Chris, isn't it?
It's a massive 3 games, Mark. You're totally right. I mean, there's points on that board that is winnable without a shadow of doubt, but it's okay saying it's on paper and everything. We've got to go and do it on the pitch, and our injuries are absolutely crucial to us at the moment. We've got the guy who I nominated as our captain and leader. I think I'll give him a kiss of death, Joe Edwards, because he's now out until March. We've just found out today that our French player out on the wing who causes we get goals from him, Sissoko, he's out now till January. So other players have got to step up to the mark without a shadow of doubt. And at home, at home park tomorrow, it's going to be rocking, and we're hoping and probably expecting for 3 points. On our away performance, we've got to get better. We've got to start picking up a point here and there.
Absolutely. Let's look at the team then. I mean, we have to go off the last starting 11 here, Jaden. But who starts for you at Derby County? Then we don't see. We know there's a game before that, but who would you start in the next away game?
We've got so many injuries. I think there's probably only 11 players you can actually pick. You've obviously got Zouche and Gibson at the back. If Gibson's back, I think he is. And then Mimber and Sorinola are probably going to have to start at left back and right back. Midfield of Forshaw and Houghton, probably. Randall's also injured, I think. And then you got Al Hadj, Gray, and then the 2 wingers are Can you finish that, Chris?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're going to be bringing back Whitaker and
Yeah,
possibly Mumber. You could see pushing up onto the
Okay.
left-hand side in place of Sissoko. But just to put one to you, Jaden, that Gibson's not back, mate, until the international break. So
right.
he's another no-goer.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Might put some money on Derby then.
Randall isn't playing tomorrow as well.
Okay. It's not all doom and gloom though, is it? Because as bad as you are, Pompey are in bad shape, and as already mentioned, Derby have got injuries to key players themselves as well, and they are massively out of form. So, with a bit of confidence and an attacking spirit, that's what we need to see away from home, isn't it? You've been very defensive, but you've been to Burnley and had to play defensively. You've just been to Leeds and had to play that way. Derby's a different story, isn't it? These are the games that you have to win.
You'll see a different team out for Saturday. You'll see a different team out for tomorrow. Tomorrow, especially at home, we're expecting 3 points. At Derby, you're hoping for 3 points, but you'll see a different team out. Yeah, it's going to be much more of attacking formation. Wayne knew what he was doing. He put out a defensive team purposely. Like I said, that damage limitation. Tomorrow's is opposite. We want to get them in the net in our end, So, yeah, it's going to be game on both games.
Okay. All right, then. Before we just move on from Leeds, of course, with Rooney coming back and the United connections, he did get a lot of abuse from the stands. Some of it was particularly unpleasant. I mean, he actually put a good line in, I think, in his interview and said that we couldn't hear it. We could only hear the Plymouth fans. Where do we cross the line, Chris, between it being football banter and unacceptable? Some of the things being reported about his family, and I'm not sure the whole ground was singing these, but some of those from behind him were particularly abusive about his children and his wife in particular. That's not on, is it, in this sport?
Certainly not, Mark. As soon as it gets personal, then it's beyond. You cannot condone anything like that. It's shocking behaviour, really. Yes, you can have a go at the man, but not his family. And what is sad that his family have been there to witness many of these chants at Owen Park. The only good thing on Leeds was when they were giving it the big one about how calling them fat,
Yeah,
granny, and Argyle fans give it right back to him with "he's won more than you," which they funny they go much on, But Wayne Rooney, he's won more than you. They get at that. Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Thanks for that, Chris. One more thing then. So it's Bonfire Week this week. Fireworks are out. So we want you to put a rocket up one player in particular who, despite all encouragement and despite chances, has not lit up this season as he should have. I'm sure you can think of a couple, put it in the comments below if you can think of any. Jaden, for you, the one
Ryan
player
Hardy.
would be...
I'd go Ryan Hardy.
Don't think about it, will you? No. Explain yourself.
Just a bit of a letdown, really. Obviously, the start of last season, I think it was he started off really well. He got like 8 goals in the first 7 games or 8 games or whatever it was. And since then, he's been a bit underwhelming. And this season's been more of the same, really.
Fair shout, Chris.
Well, I was thinking about one of two. One was Victor Poulsen, Icelandic defender, Icelandic international. He hasn't cut the mustard for us. He's been complaining that he's a centre half instead of a right back. Okay, we've played him at centre half. He was poor, very poor, the last home game. But the one I'm going to go for, having said how bad Poulsen was our first signing, Nathaniel Ogbeta, because the guy has been disappeared in games. And if now we got these players to step up to the mark, we want them to show a little bit about them, attitude, and give it 100%. As long as you're giving it 100%, Plymouth fans will get behind you. But if you're not giving that 100% and you're shocking, then you're going to get a rocket. And he's hopefully firework night, he'll get that rocket.
Okay. All right. Well, I know exactly where the fireworks are going to be this week. It's going to be at Home Park. Plymouth against Pompey. Hope that goes well for you. I mean, you are solid at home, so we can almost certainly say this is gonna be okay, isn't it? This week. Touchwood. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully when we join us next week, we're talking about 6 points in the bag for Plymouth and a lot more happy faces around the place. Join us then. Thank you very much for watching, and drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Love making the content for you. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Jaden. Enjoy your massive week.